Oh, what's going on, everybody? Good evening and welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy MattyB on the call. Coming at you a little bit later tonight. Had to get that Flyers game and that Flyers post game out of the way before I came on. But I'm here, better late than never. Flyers fall tonight 6-3. Sixers get smoked in their opener. The Eagles are preparing for the Cincinnati Bengals. And we got a lot to talk about. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Again, everything on this net. Please remember that the like, subscribe, support this network, the It's a Wrap Sports Network. We need your help. We desperately need your help. So please make sure you're checking out and doing all those great things for us. Sal just finished up with the Clear the Ice. Outstanding job as usual. Flyers made a go of it tonight, but we'll get in. We'll continue on with the Flyers talk. But tonight we got some NFL trade deadline news. We got ourselves, as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Flyers. Keep that conversation going. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. I may actually watch the World Series this year, which is really rare for me to want to actually tune into another team's World Series. But I'm actually thinking about it, and I'll let you know why. We're going to talk a little bit Eagles-Bengals. Little bit Eagles-Bengals, because tomorrow night we got the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. We're going to do my card review. I love that segment. And we're also going to just mix it up and see what else is cooking out there. And before we get started, again, let me remind everybody that this is, please like and subscribe the It's a Wrap Sports Network down here on our YouTube channel, streaming out all over my Facebook, a couple different Facebooks. Make sure you're tuned in. And please like and subscribe as we're trying to get this thing rolling. And it's hard building it from the ground up, so we need some help. Barbara, what's going on? How you doing, Barbara? Staying up late tonight, I see. Good for you. Maddie, I'm disappointed in the Flyers. I thought they would do better. Yeah, I guess, Barbara, we're going to get into some Flyers talk. And tonight, it might sound weird, and it might sound kind of off color. I'm actually very happy with what the Flyers did tonight, and we're going to get into the Flyers a little bit later, but I get your overall disappointment in this team. Things have not gone well. Some things that they did remarkably great last season, they have struggled with mightily this year, and it has not obviously translated onto the ice. The wins are not coming. Their team seems that they're pressing. They seem frustrated. They seem like they're treating every play like it's their last one on earth. But tonight, showed something for me. I'm not going to lie to you, Barbara. I honestly thought this game was going to be 6-0 or 7-0. And I thought Fedotov would be left out there because obviously they're not going to take Urson in after playing them last night. But the Flyers showed me something tonight. And I'm not one for moral victories. You guys know that. But I was actually very happy with the way the Flyers battled back in this game. And we'll get more into that a little bit later. But Barbara, I feel your pain and I understand what you mean by being disappointed. It has not been a good start to the season. The Flyers are now winless in their last 6, and that is not good. 1-5-1 now on the season and all that. But we'll definitely get into that a little bit more later on. But let's get this rolling as we typically do on the show with your day in Philadelphia sports history. A baseball note, a baseball-ism on this day in 1993. Take a guess, folks. I want all you Philadelphia sports fans, you so-called experts out there, to tell me, what do you think occurred on this night back in 1993? I'll give you about 2 seconds to think and come up with your answer. Throw them in the chat if you want to play along. But what happened, do you think, on this night in 1993 in Philadelphia sports history? 3, 2, 1. All right, I don't see anybody guessing, so I'm going to jump in with it right away. Of course, tonight, back in 93, the magical, and in my opinion, the best ever. And Barbara coming in at the last second with Mitch Williams. Yes, Barbara, Mitch Williams certainly did happen tonight in 1993. In my mind, and in my 40-plus odd years of consciously watching Phillies baseball, the 1993 season was hands down the best, the funnest, really instilled the pride, I thought, back into being a Phillies fan after 10 years of just drecky baseball. The Phillies came out of nowhere and had a magical run in 93. And that run ended on this night back in 93 with, yes, touch 'em all, Joe. Touch 'em all. As Joe Carter walked it off for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the ninth in Game 6 of the 1993 World Series off of a beleaguered Mitch Williams, who was never the same after that. Never seen around these parts either after that game. Ending a magical ride that everybody thought they were going to win the World Series. Everybody thought that there's no way in hell after everything they had been through, everything they had done that year, that they wouldn't finish the deal. And even in that Game 6, being down, 5-1 in the 7th inning, and then coming back and taking the 6-5 lead, again, you just felt like it was going to happen. And beating the Braves en route to the World Series, they weren't supposed to beat the Braves in the NLCS. And the Dykstra home run, the 10th inning of Game 5, probably one of my top 5 favorite Philadelphia Phillies sports moments of all time is the Lenny Dykstra home run in the top of was it the 10th inning, right? It was an extra innings in Game 5 of the NLCS. After all that, and then battling back in Game 6, to take the lead late and to not finish the deal is just, as Barber so eloquently states, a stake in your heart, as it was. And I'll never forget where I was watching that moment happen. I'll never forget what I was doing, who I was with, and where I was watching the game. And I'm sure every Phillies fan out there that was kind of in my era of existence, I was 20 years old in 93. So I'm sure we all will say the same thing about we all can remember where we were when we heard the touch 'em all, Joe, touch 'em all. So that is what your day in Philadelphia sports history was on this day in 1993. The Phillies lost to the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 6 of the World Series. Wow. Somber note, huh? We got over it well, though. We're resilient, man. We bounced back fast. We bounced back real fast. But yeah, tough, man. That was, as I said, 93, they didn't finish it. But there's not been a year since or before that I can remember that was just so filled with everything that you wanted. That the team was personable. I'll there's a lot of times where I look at that 93 team and we'll love to kind of move them around like Phillies history. Like in 2022, if we had the 93 Phillies, we win the World Series. Last year, we have 93 Phillies. We at least get back to the World Series. This year, we had the 93 Phillies. We're in the World Series. There was just character. There was heart. There was resilience. There was a true never say die attitude. And the team really, and I'm not saying they loved each other. I'm not saying that. But when they hit the field, they put everything aside personally they might have felt towards each other to accomplish the one goal, which was to win. And it's so rare. It's very rare to see that anymore in sports. And I look back fondly upon 1993. So there you go. There's your moment in Philadelphia sports history. 93, the Phillies broke our hearts and lost to the Blue Jays. Or more appropriately, Joe Carter broke our hearts. Or more appropriately, Mitch Williams broke our hearts. You could insert any one of those for heartbreaking. So let's move on now. Let's get into some NFL talk, because I do want to discuss the NFL trade deadline as we're getting closer to that. November 5th, there's been a bunch of banner trades up to this point, and today, another interesting move. The Tennessee Titans have sent DeAndre Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs in return for a fourth-round draft pick that could become a third-round pick. So for a wide receiver that 2 years ago was perhaps the best in the game, they ended up getting from the Tennessee Titans for a fourth-round pick that could be conditionally changed to a third-round pick. As obviously one of the missing pieces for the Chiefs dynasty, of course, it seems like it's unfair for them to be able to go out and do this, but one of the missing pieces for that dynasty is that wide receiver. They just can't seem to keep a wide receiver in town. And whatever you might want to say about DeAndre Hopkins' diminishing skills and the fact he's getting older and whatnot, he's never played with Pat Mahomes. He's never been paired up with Pat Mahomes. And it's just a scary concept to put a DeAndre Hopkins with a Pat Mahomes. And if Pat Mahomes can just get a little bit out of DeAndre Hopkins of what he has left, just a little bit, it's probably going to be scary good for the Chiefs and scary bad for the rest of the NFL. And once again, another team, the team in my opinion, went one step further than the Eagles, as Howie Roseman continues to sit quietly as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline. What do the Eagles do? There's rumors that Cooper Kupp might be on the chopping block out of LA, as LA is sort of kind of coming to the realization that their season might be over. Matt Stafford is rumored to be heading out too. So are the Rams a team that the Eagles can pick the carcass clean on? And is Cooper Kupp what you want here in Philadelphia? Do we need another offensive piece? I don't think so. I think it has to be nothing but defense, right? I mean, would you guys be upset if Cooper Kupp ended up in Philadelphia? I don't know. I think I would be. We can have all the great wide receivers in the world. We need someone to throw them the football. So what does Howie Roseman do as we get closer and closer and another big trade goes down in the NFL? Another big trade in the NFL today. So what is Howie Roseman's plan and what are they thinking about doing? And we'll wait and see. And Al says we need a defensive tackle or an edge rusher. Linville Joseph's available. Nagamakin Sue's available. Al, why don't your freaking fraud-ass GM bring them back in? Is that what we're looking for, huh, Al? You want to go for Linville Joseph? Well, let's bring him into town. Or you want to go gusto for, what's his name, Garrett with the Cleveland Browns. Now, if Howie Roseman could somehow pull off that move without selling all the damn draft assets for the next 2 years, maybe I come around a little bit on Howie. Maybe I put down my Howie pitchfork for a minute and give him the proper due if he could pull off a Myles Garrett trade. That would be amazing. Absolutely, without, of course, mortgaging the next 3 years of our draft capital. So I agree, though. We do need some defensive help on the edge or on the line. Probably more appropriately on the edge, as they'll probably want to definitely try to continue to roll the wave of some of this aggressive defensive sacking ability that they've had over the last few days or few weeks. I agree, Al. Defensive edge would work for me. So we'll see, though. November 5th is what the Eagles and the rest of the NFL have left in order to make a trade. So we'll see where the Eagles stand on the trade deadline as we move closer to it. The Eagles have 2 high-priced wide receivers and a high-priced running back, and a great old Hurts is the weak link. They are nurturing him. They don't trust him anymore, I think. Barbara, I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, and I'm gonna jump on that here as well. This was floated to me last week, and I'm starting to believe it because I did some research after this theory was floated at me last week. All the venom towards Nick Sirianni and the way he's calling, or allegedly he's got his hands now in the offense. All the venom towards where's this Kellen Moore, with the slants, and where's this Kellen Moore creative offensive attack. I honestly believe, and I'm starting to believe it more and more now that I'm doing research. I honestly believe that Jalen Hurts cannot learn Kellen Moore's offense, and holistically, like the whole thing, and that Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore are essentially running a hybrid offense where it's a combination of Kellen Moore and a combination of Nick Sirianni, because Jalen Hurts cannot run a Kellen Moore offense. And they are obviously, as a head coach, Nick Sirianni, who I'm not a big fan of and I want him out of here, is falling on the sword essentially for Jalen Hurts and by saying what he's saying about some of the issues offensively. And to back that up, I tracked some of the passing of last week. Now, last week was probably not the greatest game in the world to kind of do this, but I did it anyway. In the 14 pass attempts that Jalen Hurts attempted before the game got out of hand, 12 of them were off to the sidelines or the side of the field. Only 2 passes the entire game were sent across the middle. 2 passes for the entire game were patterns that were run across the middle. Now, we all know Kellen Moore's offense is a slant type offense that predicates timing, predicates trying to force a ball into a tight window, which generally happens in the middle part of the field. And we saw, I saw an Eagle offensive attack that was all down the sidelines. Hero ball, 50-50 ball, whatever you want to call it. But that's what I saw. So to me, that backs up my theory that the Eagles are trying to water down the offensive attack, I guess, in order to make Jalen Hurts effective somewhat. So I agree. with your statement. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want a Cooper Kupp here, because we can have all the great weapons in the world. If we have no quarterback that can get them the ball in the planned schemed offense, then why do I want that wide receiver here? So, and honestly, if you ask me, the bigger need for me is on the defensive side of the ball right now for the Eagles. They need some edge rushing. They need some pass rushing help desperately. So I noticed that too. Never in the middle of the field. Is he too small to see it? I don't. No, Barbara, I'm telling you, it's the timing portion of throwing balls in the middle of the field. You got to be precise with your attack when you attack the middle of the field. That's where all the traffic is. That's where all the people are, and you got to fit balls in the tight windows. Now, maybe Jalen Hurts is not that type of quarterback, and that's fine. But then, what the hell is Kellen Moore doing here? Why wasn't an offensive coordinator brought here that would fit Jalen Hurts' attack mode or fit his scheme or skill set? So either way, I get what you're saying, but either way, it's a mistake. If they brought an offensive coordinator in here that Jalen Hurts cannot do it, why is he here? And why wasn't an offensive coordinator brought in here that can utilize the best of Jalen Hurts? So either way, we got a problem if that's the case. But you're right, absolutely. I don't think he's too small, but the under center snaps seemed approved. That's hopefully a sign in the right direction. The under center snaps seemed improved. I would imagine you're trying to say, right, Al? Improved. They did. But again, Al, there's no creativity to this friggin' offense, man. There is absolutely no creativity to this offense. And they did sack Jalen Hurts last week 4 times. Again, I know we're reveling in the victory, and it's a 28-3. It was the most complete Eagle victory in a long time, and I'm not going to take anything away from them. But still, it was a slow start. It was, things didn't get moving again until second quarter time, middle of the second quarter. When you're playing against teams that are upper echelon in the NFL, not being able to score any points until the middle part of the second quarter might put you in a 20-0 hole. So, I don't know. Something's there. Something's there, and I hope one day we find the truth. But trade deadline, DeAndre Hopkins is now on his way to Kansas City to join the Devontae Adams in friggin' New York with the Jets. Amari Cooper is now in friggin' Buffalo, and what's his face? The running back went to what's his name? Went to Minnesota, right? You know what I'm talking about. The running back guy. Oh my God, he sacked himself a couple times holding the ball. I was going crazy. Yes, he was. Al says slow starts are planning, I think. Al, and again, I'm going to jump in on another theory that was floated to me last week as well. There is something to that, Al, and I'm going to explain that to you right now. On the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, here's a program on the It's a Rap Sports Network that I highly recommend everybody tuning into every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Here's our little graphic that we have. Kyle, of course, is a producer for the midday show on WIP, and a fine person, good stock, fine quality young man. Anyway, Kyle was on the program last week, and we were talking, and apparently Landon Dickerson was on WIP last week, and he intimated that the first 15 plays, the scripted plays, are not necessarily scripted. They're more feeler plays than anything else, meaning that they are running plays that they are not necessarily looking to succeed with at that particular moment in time. They are probing to whether something might be available later on in the game. Now, I took great offense to that, and I think every Eagle fan should take great offense to that if that is occurring. That the Eagles feel so damn arrogant that they're going to sacrifice a possession at the beginning of the game to see what or what might not be available in the third quarter. And listen, something's got to give here. There's got to be something to this. There's no way that this team can be this futile in getting off, starting the game. There's got to be something to it. Just the fact that they're an NFL football team with a high payroll of really good players on offense, something has got to be there that's allowing them not to score. So maybe there's some weight to that. And maybe those comments by Landon Dickerson on WIP last week have some weight. So that's a story to keep an eye on. Are the Eagles using the first 15 plays of the game not to necessarily win for now, but win for later on in the game? And if they are, it's a very arrogant move by a team that has no grounds to be arrogant. It is Sirianni, and yeah, you're right. 100% right. No points in the first quarter, not going to do it against top teams. It is not, Barbara. It is absolutely not going to do it against top teams. And this week, I guess we'll go into our Eagle-Bengal sneak peek. When you're battling against a team that features Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, it is going to be interesting to see what the Eagles do defensively and offensively. But defensively, for me, paramount because of this. Went back and looked at the numbers. Went back and looked at the tape. When the Eagles played a team like the Bengals or the Browns and they played the Giants, two lesser quarterbacks in this league, in Dan Jones and Deshaun Watson, they sent the house. They were constantly pressuring the crap out of them all game long. But when you go back and you look at their game plan against Kirk Cousins, when you go back and look at their game plan against Baker Mayfield, they didn't. They sat back. So is there something to Vic Fangio's defense that does not allow him or doesn't want him or his defense, more specifically, to pressure average to above average to good quarterbacks in the NFL? Is that what his defense is predicated on? Attacking the weak? and setting the house against the weak. Now, I'm going to obviously be watching that or watching for that this coming week against the Bengals because I think that you can classify Joe Burrow as an above average to good quarterback in this league. And he's got amazing weapons to throw to. Now, don't hit me with the Eagle defense has never seen these types of wide receivers that they're going to deal with on Sunday. Well, yeah, they have. They see them every week in practice. So, it's going to be interesting to see what the defensive plan is to slow down Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. And does Vic Fangio bring the house like he's been doing? Or does he sit back like he's been doing against Baker Mayfield and against Kirk Cousins? Against Derek Carr, I mean, he brought a little pressure against Carr, but I think they were more concerned with Kamara beating them in that game. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they go ahead and they attack Cincinnati, and we'll know obviously very early on what the game plan is, as they'll really push the whole bend don't break mantra against the Bengals. I think the feeler plays is bullshit this far in the season. Again, Al, I'm reporting the news as is. Now I know you and your small, tiny little homer mind don't want to think that, and I get that, man. I understand you got personal issues with that. And you might be right, but it was said on a major Philadelphia sports talk radio station on the FM dial. Okay, I didn't say it. So why would Landon Dickerson lie? Now, again, if it's happening, there's problems. That's wrong on a lot of different levels. And I hope it's not happening. But again, it's interesting because it was said by a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Bengals O-line is atrocious. That's what makes what Burrow does so great. Absolutely. And absolutely. They don't have much of a running game to speak of either. But yet Burrow, and teams know this, but yet Burrow still carves them up. And more importantly, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins still carve them up. So it is definitely a watermark moment for the Eagle defense here Sunday against the Bengals. Now, tomorrow on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn here at 6:30 on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Still kind of a tongue twister to say that, but I'm getting better. Here with Kyle Quinn. We will preview the game against the Bengals. We'll review the game against the Giants. Me and Kyle will give you our picks, our scores, and our game MVP. So make sure you're here 6:30 live on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy MattyB and my main man Kyle Quinn as we will dissect the Eagles' attempt to win 3 games in a row and maybe silence some more doubters along the way. All right, I guess we could turn the attention back to the puck. Eagles are like one of my soap operas or Hallmark Channel movies, LOL. Are they like, see, Barbara, here's the thing about the Hallmark Channel movies. I remember watching them when I was younger. The Christmas ones, right, are the best. The Christmas movies are the best for Hallmark. I highly recommend anybody to go out there and watch these movies. not for the content of the story, but for the inaccuracies of the actual set. So these movies are allegedly set in Christmas time, and the trees have snow and there's snow on the ground. But if you look real closely at the snow, you'll see it resembles soap suds really, 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 really dead on. It's soap that they have spread all over the ground and in the trees and make it look like snow. And I've never seen more greener landscapes and higher, brighter sun in my life than I have these Hallmark Christmas movies. I didn't realize Christmas was so bright. Now, my memories of late December or mid-December are always dark. Days are very short. Not in these movies, man. The sun is blazing. It looks like it's about 85 degrees outside because that's what it is. So I watched them for the inaccuracies. I watched them for the over-the-top inaccuracies like soap suds acting as snow and people trying to make it look like it's December when it's not. But yes, the Hallmark movies are a classic. Go ahead and check them out. They run like 24/7, don't they? The Christmas ones are already on already. Yeah, I think everything is filmed in Vancouver. Barbara, I'm telling you, I'm not saying they all are like this, but if, next time you sit down and watch one, just look at the snow. Look at the texture of the snow. It looks really sudsy. At least in the ones that I've seen. Now, I'm not telling you that they filmed them all that way. There's probably some that they send up, as you said, in Vancouver or something like that. But look and just look at the day. Look at the sky. It just looks really blue, like it's like freaking July, not December. Really bright. I don't remember December's being that bright, but it's funny. It's funny. Hallmark movies are my kryptonite. Are they really, Al? I sometimes feel like I live in a Hallmark Christmas movie. Yes, I do. Anyway, so let's move now. And they all have the same storyline, right? There's always a big time ad exec or a big time power lawyer or a big time business person from a big city has to go home to their humble beginnings, their roots in their hometown, or have to find their way back into some ditchwater Norman Rockwell Christmas card, right? I mean, it's the same premise for all of them, right? And in the 1 week that this person's there, not only does he fall in love or she fall in love, but also gets entrenched into the family, and it's just, man, I come out of those movies like needing like with multiple cavities, man. It's so over the top, man. It's so over the top. Yes, he is. Or is it isn't Lacey a girl? No, Lacey's a guy, isn't he? Or that was a different guy named that last name. But I know what you're talking about. She's a blonde, right? The movies are break the story. Yeah, man, it's so like unbelievable, man. And it's the same premise for every single one of them. There's always a high power business person living in a big city that somehow has to go to a small town for whatever reason, and then falls in love with a girl that they have no business or a guy they have no business being in love with, and it's magic and it's Christmas and blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's just it's the same premise for every movie. I would imagine if you don't sit there and binge watch them, it still works for you. But I would have to imagine, and Barbara, I don't know if you're one of these people. If you sit there and binge watch them, don't you get to a point where you're just like, I can't anymore. It's just, I can't do this anymore. I gotta walk away. I gotta flip the channel, man. Because aren't you starting to like kind of like guess the movie as it's happening? Like, oh, this is gonna happen next. This is gonna happen next. I mean, oh yeah, and there's always a bad person involved, trying to take the family home, trying to take the town or something. There's always a villain involved that's trying to do something nefarious, but not really nefarious. They fall in love and leave their boyfriends for a guy. Yes, exactly, Al. Exactly. The Christmas magic. It must be the same fairy that was supposed to come to CBP this October and sprinkle the Halloween dust on the Phillies. And yeah, it's hilarious, man. If I did that, I'd be a jerk. If you watch Hallmark with your wife, sometimes you'll score points. Now, see, you got to understand, Barbara, the way it is in the old MattyB house when it comes to my wife. My wife knows her place, all right? The wife doesn't bother me. The wife lets me do what I want to do because, well, I'm MattyB. And, if you try to corral this stallion, you're going to get bucked off. So you just got to remember that. Now, Nina is not really a big Hallmark gal. At least I don't think she is. I don't think we ever even talked about it. Wow. My husband and I. No, I don't binge watch Hallmark that much. Well, good. Because I don't think, is it possible to binge watch Hallmark? Can a person actually do that without their brain falling out? But, and are they all Christmas movies? Are there any other themed movies for Hallmark? Are there Easter movies? Are there the 4th of July movies? Are there April Fool's Hallmark themed movies? I mean, Halloween, Thanksgiving. I'm sure there's Thanksgiving ones, right? Does Labor Day have a Hallmark movie theme? Or is it just primarily Christmas? Inquiring minds want to know. My wife has the Christmas room in the new house just for the Hallmark movies. There you go. Does it look like Christmas threw up in that room, Al? Does she have it decorated appropriately, or is it just designated for neutral viewing entertainment? Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate it. Al said he's seen a Thanksgiving and Easter. I would think Easter would be too religious, right? Wouldn't that be kind of not kosher, for lack of better words, for a lot of people to watch? I've never seen a Christmas one. Now, as I said, I've never seen a Thanksgiving one either, Al, but I would imagine that they would definitely do the Thanksgiving one. But they have a smaller window in Thanksgiving, because the Christmas ones, at least they can make it believable, because it's like Christmas break, like a 10-day period where all this stuff, it makes it kind of believable. But Thanksgiving, you got a weekend. So, I mean, and again, I don't know the premise of the Thanksgiving ones. Is it the same type of premise where somebody has to come home, hasn't been home for years, falls in love with a girl that works at the diner? I mean, is it the same type of premise? And I actually like to know. Now I'm gonna have to watch a Hallmark movie. Al, God bless your wife. LOL. All right, let's transition to the Flyers. 6-3 loss tonight by the Flyers at the hands of the Capitals. And then I told you at the top of the show, in a game that I thought was actually a step in the right direction for this team. 4-0, deep into the second period, it looked like it was definitely running downhill. It was on its way to a 7-0, 6-0 loss. And to the Flyers' credit, they pulled themselves into this game. They had some timely goal scoring. Obviously, MattyB and Michkov. Just timely goal scoring, and Tippett, Michkov. I mean, they really kind of picked themselves up, and I know it didn't work out, and we'll kind of break down some of it. I know Sal just did the clear the ice, but breaking down some of this game and some of the key moments of this game. Obviously, the first thing I want to talk about is Fedotov. I know there's a lot of, Fedotov was left out to dry on some of the goals, and he was. The breakaway was really bad. But the one tip goal, and actually this would be the goal that would be the difference in this game, because it would have been 4-4 or 3-3 at this point instead of 4-3. The tip goal, he's got to do better than that. He's got to do better than that. The tip play was way out in front of the net. I mean, he had more time to react. It wasn't up close. I really thought he misplayed that play. It was a beautiful tip, beautiful deflection. It was a nice play. But Fedotov's got to make that save. I really think he has to make that save. And then there was another goal earlier in the game. Once again, teams went 5-hole. They attacked this big Russian down low, or I would attack him as well. But that was another goal that went in. So you need better goaltending play, especially in a game going into it. I thought the Flyers needed to win. It's not the most optimal game. They'll have to go in and try to win on the second night of a back-to-back. But I really thought that they needed to win this game. And in a lot of ways, I think the goaltending let them down again. Now, did he play, compared to the other two games, was this remarkably better? Yeah, it was. But still, you need better goaltending. And last night with Urson, I don't blame him for that game. But again, there's a couple goals there where you got to have them, man. You got to have these goals. Or you got to have these saves. So obviously the goaltending situation is a problem, and we knew this going into the season. We didn't talk about it much, and I think a lot of people didn't give it its proper due. but it's now part of the rebuild process. And I think that's a facet to this rebuild that has a lot of people that's kind of brought things back down to earth a little bit. Now, that's not the reason why they're 1-5-1. Let me make that very clear. Their offensive approach has been dreadful. Their turnovers, their giveaways, 18 more giveaways tonight for this team. And I know Sal didn't really, I didn't hear him say it, but if he did, I apologize. 94 giveaways the Flyers have committed through 7 games this year. 94. That is an average of 13.4 giveaways a game. That's terrible. The Flyers last year only gave up the puck on average about 5.6 times a game last year. And to me, that's where this thing all boils down to. Too many turnovers, too many misplayed pucks, too much indecision with the puck. The offense tonight got a little bit better. It got a little bit closer to the net. Prior to tonight's game, everything seemed to be really far back. All the shots were coming from the dot, coming from the slot. Nothing was really in front of the goalie. But tonight they got a little bit better with that. Morgan Frost seems, listen, I know Morgan Frost is probably the most snake-bitten, with the exception of Owen Tippett, who did break through. But Morgan Frost, man, what a bust this guy's become. And I don't really know how much longer we can really sit here and justify Morgan Frost and his team anymore. He's here because we don't have anything else better right now. But, boy, talk about a combination of bad luck and just not the skill that we thought he was going to be. What really saved him for me last year was his ability to assist. I mean, he was threading passes. He was excellent on starting that transitional breakout pass for an odd man rush, especially shorthanded. He's not doing that at all this year so far, and his offensive ability continues to not be there. And tonight he had multiple opportunities, and he came up small. And I know that part of that's luck. I get it. But I'm tired of seeing him skate around out there. I really, really am tired of seeing him. I want to move on from Morgan Frost, but again, we just don't have anybody better. But I saw something from this team tonight. I saw a will to fight back, and it was good to see. It really was. They run Christmas movies in July even. Do they really? Is it all year round, or do they start them in July? We need a goalie to steal a game for us someday. And Barbara, again, to my point, the goaltending situation for this team is a nuance to the rebuild, right? It was less than a year old. It's less than a year old. Now, the Flyers have done some things to put them in a better position going forward with the goalie situation, but that's forward. Right now, it is what it is with the goalies on this team, and it's terrible to say that, but we got what we got, and it's not optimal right now. Sam Ersson is playing well. But for what I've seen of Ersson through 5 games that he started so far, I'm not sure if he's a starting goalie. And what I mean by that is I'm not sure that he can pull the burden of an entire season. I really am not. Based on how the season ended last year, and we made excuses for him last year about, he was thrown into it all. He went on the road trip with the Phillies to London. He didn't sleep in his own bed. I mean, we threw all kinds of excuses at Sam Ersson last year to kind of justify his collapse down the stretch, or down the home stretch. I think there was more to Sam Ersson's ability as a player. It might also have something to do with his ability upstairs, to process things. I don't know. But I'm just not seeing starting goaltending vibes from Sam Ersson. I think he's a very good backup, and I think he'd be an outstanding backup in this league. And I think that the Flyers should definitely hold on to him. But I just don't think that right now that he's got it to be a starting goalie at this level. So, but he's playing well, and he's the best thing we have. But the goaltending situation is definitely up there top. Mitchkov, I think, today took away focus from the other needs for most fans. And that's what's going to keep the Flyers exciting all year, Al, is the maturation of MattyB Mitchkov, as he'll potentially try to win himself the Hart or the Calder Rookie of the Year thing, the Rookie of the Year, and his chase for that. So another goal tonight for him. That's 3 goals now. He's not scored on even strength, though, I believe. It's all been from shorthanded or power play or whatever. And the Flyers scored 2 more power play goals tonight. When did this start? 7 for 29 so far through the season. 26%. Their penalty kill seems to be good, other than the fact that they gave up 2 goals when they were on the power play. They've been playing well on special teams. It's the giveaways. They're giving the puck away too much. They're too indecisive with the puck in their own zone, or in their defensive and offensive zone. They are not making decisions quick enough. Bobby Brink, who was a healthy scratch tonight, probably because of what happened last night when that play on the half wall, indecision with the puck, gets it taken away from him, leads an odd man rush back the other way into a goal. Probably part of the reason why he was benched. And then we talk about that too. The lineup tonight. Jetlachenko out of the lineup for a second straight night. Folks, I don't have inside information, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to tell you, I think the handwriting's on the wall. He's on his way back to the Guelph. I think Jetlachenko will be on his way back to the Ontario Hockey League of the CHL in Major Junior Canadian Hockey, probably within the next week or so. I think the decision has been made to move on, or to move Lachenko back down to juniors, save that contract, and let him just kind of figure things out from there, because there's no justifying why he's not in the lineup tonight. I know they weren't going to play him in back-to-backs. I get that. I understand why. But there's no justifying him sitting out tonight, other than the fact that they're moving on from something. So they're moving on from him, which is fine. You know what? It was a long shot. He impressed enough to get the chance. But based on what I've seen from him in the small sample size, defensively he's struggling. He's struggling to keep up with the pace of play. And offensively, he's struggling to get into the pace of play. And these are all things that you expect from a young player. And it's not like it's something weird. It's something that can't be fixed, or something that time and experience won't change. But it's very glaring right now. Now, you can make the case that this team is what they are. They're not going to the playoffs potentially, right? They may have a real bad year. It might be time to tank for James Haggins and all that. And then with that being said, you make it justify a reason why you should keep him here. But I don't know. I just think right now, save the year, send him back down, and we go from there. But I thought, as I said, it was pretty good tonight for the Flyers. I thought they really fought their way back. They really showed a lot of heart. And it's something that you can build on going forward. Now, the play that everyone's talking about, and I do want to comment on this. You got that one. I think they said on the broadcast the Flyers have like 14 players. Yeah, they do. They have 14 players, 25 and younger. They're a very young team. They are. And we are year 2 of a rebuild. I feel like the Flyers have improved in areas from last year, but regressed in areas they didn't need to. Seems bizarro from last year. It does. There's definitely a lot of areas. Power play, obviously, is a vast improvement so far. But their ability to create offense and their ability to create those odd man rushes are down, right? And who knows? Maybe teams are scheming against that now. Maybe that's what they plan for against the Flyers. Their shot volume per game is down from last year. Their goal scoring production is pretty much at the same level, and then of course their giveaways, they are terrible with the puck in their defensive zone. And you saw it tonight, 18 more giveaways tonight. I think it was 17 last night. What did I say? 96, 97 for the season through 7 games. Yeah, 94 for the season through 7 games. It's terrible. Over 13 a game. They can't do that. You can't do that. But the one play I do want to talk about is the play everyone seems to be getting on top of Igor Zamula about the too many men on the ice penalty at the end of the game that led to the open net goal. And I can see where people are upset, and I definitely can see where the outrage. Zamula has been also terrible, honestly. I think Emil Andre should be getting his chance here soon to replace him in the lineup. But I'm going to go one better with the Zamula thing. It was a stupid play. It was bad on both Drysdale and Zamula, in my opinion. But what was even worse to me was, why did you pull your goalie with over 2.5 minutes left to go in the game? You're down by 1 goal. 2.5 minutes, or precisely 2 minutes and 26 seconds, whatever it was. Why did you pull your goalie? It wasn't like they were down 2 goals. I just thought you could have waited there. You could have waited to pull your goalie. I didn't see the reason why pulling the goalie that early was worth it. And obviously it didn't work out for the Flyers. So, yeah, you can be mad at Zamula and be mad at Drysdale for that. And I am. But I'm more mad at the coach for making that decision to pull the goalie that early. So, Flyers go down, just like last night, the Nick DeLorean fight in the beginning of the game. pissed me off because the Flyers, who were on the power play, had just won the offensive zone faceoff, and he decides to drop the gloves. You got to do better than that, Nick. You got to be better. You got to understand the situation better than that. Could you have waited 10 seconds to see where that play would have went? If it would have went back out of the zone, then you can go ahead and drop the gloves. This team is starved for goals. This team is starved for wins, or starved for something to kind of jumpstart them. You get an offensive faceoff win on the power play, and then you're immediately going to throw the gloves down and go and fight somebody? Dude, have a little bit more self-awareness of what's happening around you. And these are some things you can attribute to the coaches. What is going on? And then it leads me, of course, to John Tortorella. Is his time running short in Philadelphia? I don't know why it would. Who else is going to come in here? And who else is... he is so deep into this right now. Why would you do that? Are you going to take what Tortorella's done up to this point, strip it all the way down, and start over again? We're going to go back. I'm not saying Tortorella is the future. Tortorella's a good coach. He's taking teams to the Stanley Cup Finals. He knows what he's doing, right? If they're not listening to him anymore, that's a different story. But calling for John Tortorella's head at this point, to me, is ridiculous. This is year 2 of a rebuild. I don't know what people expect the Flyers to have been this year. I expected them to be a playoff team, I ain't going to lie, or definitely be in the playoff race. And who knows, they still might be. But tonight, I thought they took some steps in the right direction. I honestly do. So the Flyers went down 6-3 tonight. They'll play on Saturday against the Wild at 1 p.m. at the Wells Fargo, and be there or be square. Of course, we'll have the Clear the Ice Flyers postgame show right after the game at 4 o'clock, and your boy Sal will be back to do that as well. All right, we're getting to the end here. I do want to get into my last thing I want to talk about, or my second to last thing, is the World Series. Saturday or Friday night, game 1 in LA, Yankees Dodgers. I don't typically ever care for anything sports related when it doesn't involve Philadelphia sports teams. Last year, I didn't watch any of the World Series between the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. I did watch a little bit of the NLCS, and I did watch a little bit of the ALCS. But I'm interested in watching the World Series this year because of just the star power that's involved. That's the first reason that I'm interested in watching it. I'm interested in watching Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, friggin' Stanton, Judge, Soto. I want to see that. I want to see that kind of go down, man. That's going to be a slugfest. That is going to be a classic series. It's got 7 games written all over it. The Dodgers might have a little bit more pitching than the Yankees. And what would be really even classic in this thing would be Ohtani going at it like offensively, but then having to pitch at some point in the series, maybe in a bullpen game or late in the game or something like that. That would be awesome. That would be the best. But I am definitely going to watch it for the star power and the fact I'll watch it exactly. And not only does it have star power, it has legit star power. I'm watching Juan Soto stroke that 3-run home run in the ALCS against Cleveland to basically send the Yankees to the World Series. And I'm thinking, man, that's how they do it, man. That's how the big-time players, the big-time paid players, step up to the plate, put their team on their backs, and take them across the finish line. Not like here, when our star players disappear in the biggest of moments, in the brightest of stages. They disappear. But watching Judge, Stanton, Soto, especially them 3 in the ALCS made me sad because I know we have players of allegedly that caliber here that when they're faced with those moments, shrink in those moments. So I'm definitely going to be watching for the same reason you are, Barbara, to see the star power. The other reason why I'm going to be watching is because there's 2 players that are currently going to be free agents at the end of the year. And Gio Urshela and Alex Verdugo from the Yankees. Both of them are from the Yankees. And I want to watch them because I really think the Phillies, Verdugo's a left fielder, and Urshela's the third baseman, should really make a play for these guys. I think Urshela we can get on a 2-year deal, and he could be the bridge to Miller. right? Aiden Miller will be here in about 2 years. We can turn over third base to him. And then Verdugo will provide some stability out there in the outfield. We can lock him down. This is his first year of major free agency, so he's going to want to get paid. You can lock him down. He'll provide some stability in left field. And then we have Crawford in center, and we have Castellanos in right. That's our outfield next year. Very simple, right? But it's set. It's set. No platooning. No, you can't bat on the third Monday when it starts with the Y. None of that. It's your left fielder is Verdugo, your center fielder is Crawford, and your right fielder is Castellanos. And Urshela will provide stability defensively and give you a bat that can bat second in my new lineup, which we'll reveal later on in the offseason. I'll run down my new Phillies lineup. We'll talk that. But that's what I'm looking at, man. And I'm going to look to see, and of course, in fantasy land, if you're living in extreme suspension of reality, you have Juan Soto, right? Yeah, Juan Soto is hanging out there, which would be, of course, a masterstroke if Dave Dombrowski can go ahead and sign him. I would really, that would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. And that actually gives you some flexibility. You know, the Phillies could pull something like that off and then just trade off some of the lesser assets. Say goodbye to Bohm. Say goodbye to Real Muto. Say goodbye to Schwarber. I would definitely be on board with that. Schwarber and Real Muto in the last years of their contracts. Get rid of them this offseason for some assets, some bullpen arms, some pieces. And then get rid of Bohm too. And sign Juan Soto. And then we got it. We're cooking with gas, man. Juan Soto replaces Harper in Washington. Immediately won the World Series. Now going for another one. Yeah. And Harper is what? Harper's always the bridesmaid, never the bride, Barbara. And it's and of course he's the bridesmaid here. I can't explain it. And Barbara, to that point, if the Yankees win, if the friggin' Yankees win this World Series, that would be their 28th World Championship in the history of their franchise. 20-friggin-8. We got 2. What I wouldn't do for 28 World Series championships. Makes you wonder about a lot of things, right? What are we doing with our lives? 28 World Series, 27, going for 28. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Do you like better Verdugo or Bader? I like Verdugo. I like Verdugo better because I think Verdugo adds a little. Now, in my new lineup, I want Verdugo, and I guess Bader would probably bat here too. Verdugo's going to bat 7th in MattyB's new lineup. He's going to bat 7th, and he's going to be protecting Stott. That's what he's going to be doing because Stott's going to bat 8th, and Stott's going to protect Crawford at 9. Well, I don't. Do we even bother with protecting 7, 8, and 9? But whatever. I like Verdugo. I do, and I like him because of his previous visits in the MLB, Dodgers and the Yankees, high profile cities, major markets. He knows what and winning. He understands what friggin' winning is, and that's why I want Verdugo. And I want to lock him down for the remainder of this winning window, and the remainder of whatever we might have left to give that we give for this. So I like Verdugo for the pedigree alone, Barbara. Bader might be a better statistical player. I don't know. I got to look it up. But I like Verdugo for the pedigree. I really do. We have to dump March. Yeah, but it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard to walk away from a player like Brad Marsh. Al, are you still in this chat? Because I want to remind everybody that we traded friggin' Logan O'Hoppe for Brandon Marsh. Al, you still out there? You want to chime in about the old Logan O'Hoppe trade? Did we still win that trade, Al? Did the Phillies still win the Logan O'Hoppe to the Angels trade? Now that we're desperately looking for a potential replacement for JT Realmuto, or not a replacement, but a competent backup, because Realmuto is now starting to have injury issues. Boy, wouldn't Logan O'Hoppe be nice in the lineup right about now? No, but we picked up Brad Marsh. But you're right. I would dump Marsh for a bag of balls, man. And it's unfortunate because I don't know what you get for Marsh at this point. I don't know what you get for him because dumping him at the end of last season would have been the best move to make. But right now, you're right, Barbara. I have no long-term wishes for Brandon Marsh. I'm done with that. I'm done with that nonsense. Austin Hayes cost me some, kind of high-end pitching talent. I'm going to stay with Austin Hayes. I'm going to send Marsh out. Yeah, you're right. Dump him. Dump him in a heartbeat. What would Logan be doing? He'd be backing up JT right now. He'd be backing up JT Realmuto. We'd have a competent backup. We lost Realmuto for a considerable amount of time. I think Realmuto only played in I think it was like one of his lowest game totals of his career, Al. He's not getting any younger. And I'm not asking him to take over the reins. He only played 99 games last year. 99 games. So I'm asking for some relief. So you kind of work Ohapi into the lineup as the backup, as the competent backup. Now, I don't know about Logan Ohapi, his taste in overalls or what brand of beer case hat he wears. So I know that might be a problem for some of you Philly fans out there that require your backup catcher to do those things too. So there you might have me on that one, but I would much prefer Logan Ohapi to Garrett friggin' Stubbs backing up JT, because I have a sneaky feeling that next year, the final year of JT's contract, that he is going to miss more time due to injury and due to just wear and tear. So having Logan Ohapi, and then of course the fact that JT is a free agent at the end of 25, you would have a catcher in Ohapi that could be your bridge to Tate later on down the line, 3 years from now when he's ready. No, let's get Brandon Marsh here. Can't hit right-handed pitching or left-handed pitching, whatever it is. Logan would look sweet here. Yeah, he would. So, Barbara, I take it you redo that trade? Do you redo the Brandon Marsh for Logan Ohapi trade? I do, in a heartbeat. I can't take Stubbs at all. I can't either, Barbara. Makes me sick. All right. Listen, we're going late, but that's okay. We're going late. We have one more segment we want to do, and this is a segment we started this week, and this is going to be an every night segment. Now, we'll be doing like bi-weekly segments for Prospect Player of the Week, Draft Target Player of the Week, Spotlight Player of the Week. But every night we're going to do this segment, and this is a play off of my sports card enthusiasm and my hobby of collecting sports cards. I've been collecting cards all my life, but just recently went through and organized for the first time ever all the cards that I had, and I merged them with my stepson, and he's got some really nice cards. I had like nothing compared to him, but we merged them together, we organized them, or actually I did all the work, but obviously it's for him later on. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a card at night, and we're just going to talk about it. We're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about the player a little bit, about why I think this card is valuable, because value for me is not necessarily in the dollars and the cents of these cards. Now, there's sentimental value. There's, reminds me of time of my life type value, stuff like that. But we're going to take a card at night. We started earlier in the week. This will be our third card. We started with Griffey. We did Pete Rose, and then Tonight's actually a card that I wasn't going to do, but because of events that happened today, I decided to change it. So let's get into our sports card, MattyB's sports card review segment, and key the music.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
All right, I changed the music. It was a really weird, creepy, like alien music before, but now I got a little upbeat, little stuff that the kids might like. All right, tonight, my card is a 1989 Dunross card that was, I never even did that. Look at me. I wasn't even prepared for this, but let me pull it up here. It's a card that was from 1989, a Dunross card, and then today, again, I made a last minute pivot. It was going to be a Mike Schmidt card. I was going to go with Mike Schmidt today, but I decided to change it at the last minute. And here it is. Here's my card review of the night. 1989 Fernando Valenzuela. On the course, the news that Fernando lost his battle to cancer today. 63 years old. Too damn early, man. But so I decided to go to this card. It's the 89 Valenzuela. Obviously, if you look at Fernando's career by 89, or 88, where this card's numbers came from. Career was pretty much, at the epochs of what it was going to be. But I cannot remember, again, using my youth as the gauge here. In 81, when he broke through, he came out of nowhere, and he set baseball afire, man. Fernando Mania was a real thing. And, I don't have his rookie card from 80, or it would be the 82 card. I don't have that card. I was looking on the sites that I use to kind of gauge the financial value of these cards today, and I think his rookie card is up to it's like $500. Now, Fernando's career, it's not a baseball Hall of Fame career, or at least it's not yet. He's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's in the Mexican Baseball Hall of Fame. He's in the Dodgers Hall of Fame. His numbers retired by the Dodgers. Only one of two players that the Dodgers have retired their numbers without them being in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He is definitely, not only did he take the game by storm with that wind up where he would look up in the air and he would throw, just again, what he did for baseball pop culture. Really unassuming kind of guy though, but really set the game ablaze. This card is not financially worth much at all. I believe I priced it out today. The max value I see on eBay right now, there's one for $20, right? And I think that's kind of high, and that might be kind of feeding off of what's the recent events. So this is not a card that you're going to get rich off of, but again, this is a card of, and I have other Fernando cards in my collection. I just found this one first, so I decided to go with it. But the 89 Dunross, again, Dunross, when you're looking at baseball cards or sports cards in general, Dunross is not the leader. It's obviously Topps, but it's a smart looking card. I like their design in 89. And yeah, it's definitely going to give the nod to Fernando tonight because I got to. And with the Dodgers going into the World Series this week, obviously, he was part of their Spanish television broadcasting crew for their local cable station out there in LA. And I didn't know this. Since 2003, he was a broadcaster for the Dodgers. First started out in Spanish-speaking radio for the Dodgers, and then moved over to TV, and then actually had to step aside this year, at the end of the year, because he was having health problems, obviously. So just kind of out of nowhere. It's a shame. Much respect to Fernando. Spent a little time here in Philadelphia. I actually do have his Phillies card for the year he spent with the Phillies. I should have pulled that one tonight, but I could. Again, I made the pivot last minute, so I didn't have time to find it. But so I went with this one. But there's the Fernando card. Here it is in physical form. The card in itself that I have, pretty clean. Again, all my cards are raw, so not much. I don't have any PSA grading to them. But I would definitely put this one with the centering. The edges are sharp. The color is good. The picture is high grade, high quality. There's no manufacturer structural errors. I would put this at a PSA 9, probably, or 9.5. And that was the card that I saw. Actually, I saw a 9.5 right before I went on the air at about, what was it, $500, or was it, no, $50. So, again, we talked about this. Baseball cards are what you can get for them. The $20 thing is probably where I would set a price. I'd probably start negotiating for this card at about $20. But again, not much of a financial windfall, but showing some respect for a pitcher that revolutionized, in my mind, again, what was I in 81? I was 8 years old. I'm an 8-year-old kid, and these were the players that influenced my generation. These were the players that influenced me as a kid. And Fernando was one of them, and we hated him because he was a Dodger. I remember when the Phillies signed him, obviously he was not the pitcher then that he was, but it was cool to see him in a Phillies uniform. Fernando Valenzuela, one of the game's greatest, unsung hero in my opinion. And there's MattyB's card review of the night, the 89 Dunross of Fernando Valenzuela. Rest in peace, as he has passed away today. And sad day for baseball fans, Dodger fans, the whole nine. So, yeah, it was tough, man. Yeah, R.I.P. Fernando. Yeah, Fernando Mania. Yeah, man, I remember it well, man. I remember it well. Didn't even know he was sick. 81 was his first year. Wow. Yeah, he had liver cancer apparently, and he left Again, I don't think he was making it public, but he left as a broadcaster. He had to leave early. Like he left before the postseason, right at the end of the regular season. He had to take a leave of absence because of his health, and so he had been battling this for a while, and he got sick earlier in the month. So he was a Philly for a short time too. Yes, he was, Barbara. Not, of course. I like the card segment. Good idea doing that. Oh, thank you, Barbara. And we will go into all four majors. I have representation from all four major sports: baseball, football, basketball, and hockey. So we'll take a card tonight, and we'll just talk about it. I have over 200 or close to 500,000 cards. So God be praised if I last for 500,000 shows. That'd be great. But that'd be funny if we actually go through them all. But yeah, it's gonna be fun segment to do, and I really enjoy doing it. So I was negative too. Yeah. See, Al doesn't remember Fernando. Al remembers seeing it on the old Movie Tone news releases. Yeah, he didn't live through that era of baseball. Now, he grew up in the early 90s, in the bad era of baseball, steroid era. Al never saw pure baseball, Barbara. Can you believe that? Al never saw pure baseball. He grew up in the steroid era, and he became an adult in this analytic-driven dreck of baseball. Truly, I grew up in the last great generation of baseball players, and Fernando was one of them, absolutely one of them. My grandfather was so happy when he was a Philly. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was cool, Al. I remember when it happened. Still doing the whole looking up when he would pitch. It was really cool to see him in a Phillies uniform. Nowhere near the type of pitcher he was, in his career when he was a Philly, but it was still cool to say that he pitched for the Phillies. Just like I think Pedro Martinez pitched for the Phillies was cool, because and I thought he definitely had some juice left when he pitched for the Phillies. But love the segment. Thank you, Al. We love it over here too. Good night, hon. Oh, right, hon. Yes, I agree. All right, guys, listen. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Great show. We discussed some things about the a little bit of trade deadline news in the NFL. Interesting move today by the Chiefs to acquire DeAndre Hopkins. What does Howie Roseman do? Does Howie sit pat? Is Howie a seller at the deadline? Is he going to try to acquire assets? Is he punting on the season? Does the results of this week's game against the Bengals and potentially next week's game, and then next week's game against the Jaguars, does that drive Howie's decision-making process at the trade deadline? Does he pull off a move? Does he go all in? Does he punt? What does he do? We talked about that. Talked about some Flyers where I think they made some great steps tonight, even though they lost. Discussed the World Series and why I'm going to watch it. And, of course, did our card segment. So that is going to wrap me up for the night, folks. And, again, I appreciate you guys joining in. Well, good night. That's what I thought you meant, Barbara. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, 6:30 right back here with the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. And then immediately following that, or a little bit later on, tomorrow night around 9 o'clock, I'll be back for the final word. And we'll wrap up our week. So you guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your night. And then have a better tomorrow. See you guys later.